In the tumultuous landscape of American politics, recent developments surrounding former President Donald Trump highlight the deepening divisions within both the Republican Party and the nation's legal framework. As Trump seeks to reassert his influence in a political landscape that has shifted significantly since his presidency, the implications of his actions resonate beyond mere party lines, affecting broader societal and legal dynamics. On February 12, 2025, reports emerged that Emil Bove, a former federal prosecutor who once led investigations into the January 6 Capitol riot, has now assumed a pivotal role within Trump's Justice Department. Bove, who was instrumental in prosecuting those involved in the insurrection, has since turned against the very investigations he once championed. This dramatic shift has sparked concern among those who previously worked alongside him. Christopher O'Leary, a former FBI counterterrorism official, expressed disbelief at Bove's recent actions, stating, "I'm really surprised and disappointed by his actions, how he's pursuing FBI agents and employees who were conducting investigations in the same manner that they would have conducted any investigation." The Justice Department has faced significant upheaval under Bove's leadership as he has initiated a purge of prosecutors involved in the January 6 cases, labeling their hiring by the previous administration as subversive. Bove's move to transfer seasoned attorneys handling Capitol riot prosecutions to immigration enforcement divisions has raised alarms about the integrity of ongoing investigations. His directive to compile names of FBI agents involved in the January 6 investigations has fueled fears of retribution against those who merely executed their duties in accordance with federal law. In parallel, Trump has made headlines for orchestrating the release of American schoolteacher Marc Fogel from a Russian prison, a move that the president touted as a significant diplomatic achievement. This gesture was accompanied by the release of a Russian citizen, signaling an unusual exchange that Trump framed as a potential thaw in U.S.-Russia relations. Standing alongside Fogel at the White House, Trump remarked, "To me, he looks damned good," highlighting his administration's commitment to securing the freedoms of Americans abroad. Fogel's release follows a tumultuous period for his family, who had faced disappointment during previous negotiations under the Biden administration. His attorney credited Trump's decisive action, contrasting it with what they termed bureaucratic inaction from current officials. However, Trump's legal agenda continues to face significant challenges in court, particularly due to the Administrative Procedure Act (APA), which mandates that federal agencies follow established protocols when implementing policy changes. Many lawsuits against Trump's administration cite the APA, arguing that his sweeping executive actions are often arbitrary and capricious. The implications of this law have already led to judicial setbacks for Trump, with recent court rulings blocking various initiatives aimed at reducing funding for biomedical research and altering immigration enforcement policies. Legal experts suggest that the APA will likely remain a formidable obstacle for Trump as he pursues aggressive policy changes. What we're seeing from the Trump administration is they are moving so fast and they're trying to do so much with so little reasoning, noted one attorney involved in ongoing litigation. This trend of judicial pushback echoes Trump's first term, during which the Supreme Court frequently ruled against the administration for failing to adequately justify its policy shifts. As these events unfold, they contribute to an atmosphere of uncertainty both within the Republican Party and across the broader political spectrum. The actions of Bove and the implications of ongoing legal battles suggest a presidency that remains mired in controversy even as Trump attempts to regain his footing in the public eye. The challenges facing his administration, including the potential for further legal entanglements and the backlash from within his party, will undoubtedly shape the narrative as the nation moves closer to the next election cycle. In conclusion, the intersection of legal challenges, political maneuvering, and international diplomacy under Trump's aegis showcases a complex tableau of American governance. As the 2024 election approaches, the ramifications of these developments will likely reverberate through the political landscape, influencing both party unity and public sentiment. The coming months will be critical as Trump attempts to reconcile his past actions with the demands of a changing political environment, all while navigating the intricate legal hurdles that threaten to undermine his agenda. In a notable display of his penchant for social media confrontation, former President Donald Trump has been actively mocking pop superstar Taylor Swift on his Truth Social platform. This latest episode unfolded shortly after Trump attended the Super Bowl, which saw the Kansas City Chiefs suffer a significant defeat against the Philadelphia Eagles, losing 40-22. In an edited image posted by Trump, Swift is depicted holding a flag that reads "Trump won, Democrats cheated." This remark appears to reference Trump's long-standing unfounded claims regarding the 2020 presidential election. Trump's trolling of Swift is not new. He previously capitalized on her reception at the Superdome in New Orleans, where she was booed by Eagles fans, likely due to her relationship with Chiefs player Travis Kelce. In contrast, Trump was met with cheers during his appearance on the Jumbotron at the same event. Swift's reaction to the crowd's response drew Trump's ire, prompting him to post, "The only one that had a tougher night than the Kansas City Chiefs was Taylor Swift. She got booed out of the stadium. MAGA is very unforgiving." This latest social media spat is particularly striking given the stark political divide between Trump and Swift. The pop icon has publicly endorsed Joe Biden in the past elections, aligning herself with the Democratic Party, while Trump and his supporters have often used her celebrity status as fodder for political jabs. Late-night host Jimmy Kimmel weighed in on the controversy, suggesting that Trump's fixation on Swift stems from jealousy over her substantial following and financial success. In parallel developments, Trump has been making headlines beyond the realm of pop culture. His administration continues to face criticism and legal challenges, particularly regarding its recent actions concerning the U.S. Agency for International Development (USAID). Following a critical report from USAID's Inspector General regarding the administration's budget cuts to the agency, Trump promptly fired the Inspector General Paul Martin. This move has sparked a broader debate on the implications of such actions for U.S. foreign aid and governance. Furthermore, Trump's government efficiency initiatives have stirred controversy, particularly with the involvement of tech mogul Elon Musk, who has been handed significant responsibilities within the administration. Critics argue that Musk's Department of Government Efficiency (DOGE) is overreaching, especially in light of its recent push to streamline federal employment, which has raised alarms among labor unions and advocacy groups. As Trump navigates these multifaceted challenges, including his ongoing engagement with public figures like Swift and his contentious governance strategies, observers are left to ponder the potential ramifications of his actions on both the political landscape and the cultural discourse in America. The interplay between celebrity culture and politics continues to evolve, with Trump seemingly determined to maintain his presence at the intersection of both as the nation anticipates further developments in his agenda and public engagements. In a pivotal moment for the Republican Party, factions within Congress are grappling with how best to advance former President Donald Trump's agenda as they navigate the complexities of budget reconciliation. This internal struggle comes as the Senate Budget Committee, led by Chairman Lindsey Graham, prepares to unveil a budget proposal aimed at facilitating the passage of key initiatives, including funding for border security and military expenditures. During a press conference on Tuesday, Graham articulated a sense of urgency regarding the budget process, stating, after a closed-door briefing, "If the Republican Party cannot provide the money to the Trump administration to do all the things they need to do to make us safe, we have nobody to blame but ourselves." His comments highlight the critical nature of the proposed funding, which includes $175 billion dedicated to bolstering security along the U.S. southern border and an additional $150 billion for military spending over the next 4 years. As discussions unfold, Senate Republicans favor a two-bill approach. This strategy aims to expedite action on border security initiatives while deferring tax cuts for later consideration. Graham underscored the necessity of moving quickly, declaring, "I cannot and will not go back to South Carolina and justify not supporting the president's immigration plan. In contrast, House Republicans are advocating for a comprehensive single-bill strategy that encompasses immigration, energy, defense, and tax reforms. House Speaker Mike Johnson voiced skepticism about the Senate's approach, suggesting that separating tax issues from other priorities could jeopardize their success. The divide between the two chambers reflects deeper ideological rifts within the party, particularly as the House faces a narrow majority that complicates consensus building. Johnson's leadership has already been challenged by the hardline House Freedom Caucus, which recently introduced its own budget resolution emphasizing a two-step reconciliation plan that could further complicate negotiations. As both chambers of Congress work towards a budget resolution, they are employing the reconciliation process, a legislative tool that allows certain bills to pass with a simple majority, bypassing the filibuster. This mechanism, previously utilized by Democrats to advance parts of President Biden's agenda, is now a focal point for Republicans aiming to fulfill Trump's policy objectives without requiring Democratic support. With 53 Republican senators, the party is acutely aware of the need for a unified front in order to achieve the necessary votes. Meanwhile, the political landscape continues to shift as Trump himself remains a powerful influence within the party. In a recent interview, he expressed confidence in Elon Musk's role in the administration despite ongoing legal challenges surrounding Musk's initiatives to streamline government operations. Trump praised Musk's vision for a more efficient government, stating, "We have to solve the efficiency problem," while also emphasizing the need to combat fraud and waste within federal agencies. However, the Trump administration's aggressive approach to governmental reform has met with significant legal opposition. Critics argue that many of these efforts exceed constitutional boundaries, with multiple lawsuits filed against executive actions that aim to freeze government spending and alter the structure of federal agencies. The mounting legal pressures add another layer of complexity to an already challenging political environment as Trump seeks to solidify his legacy and maintain party loyalty. As the Republican Party grapples with these internal divisions and external pressures, the coming weeks will be crucial in determining the path forward for Trump's agenda. The distinct strategies emerging from the House and Senate reflect not only differing priorities but also the ongoing struggle for unity within the GOP. The outcomes of these budget discussions could have lasting implications, shaping the party's direction as it prepares for future elections. With a divided Congress and a contentious political climate, the ability of Republicans to rally around a cohesive plan remains to be seen, underscoring the intricate dance of governance in a polarized America. As the United States navigates the complexities of President Donald Trump's economic policies, a palpable tension envelopes Wall Street and the broader economic landscape. Recent developments, including unexpected tariff announcements and rising inflation, have raised concerns about the potential ramifications for the nation's economy. The critical question being posed is whether Trump's administration will ultimately steer the U.S. economy toward growth or plunge it into turmoil. In a surprising move, Trump imposed 25% tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico earlier this month. A decision that sent shockwaves through the auto industry and caught economists off guard. The Wall Street Journal labeled this action as the dumbest trade war in history, given the interconnected nature of North American industries. Despite the tariffs being temporarily suspended, the underlying chaos reflects a broader pattern of unpredictability in Trump's economic governance. People on Wall Street better start taking the President of the United States more seriously, or else you're going to keep losing money, cautioned Jim Cramer of CNBC, emphasizing the need for investors to heed Trump's rhetoric. As businesses grapple with the fallout from these tariffs, fresh data on inflation adds another layer of complexity. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reported a 3.3% increase in core prices over the past year, surpassing economists' expectations. This surge poses a significant challenge for Trump, who promised to lower costs for American consumers. On social media, he called for reduced interest rates, potentially igniting further inflationary pressures. However, his administration's economic advisors are already hinting at a need to curb consumption, which could slow growth and lead to higher unemployment. The Federal Reserve's recent comments reflect this precarious balancing act. Chair Jerome Powell noted that while the economy remains strong, the central bank is prepared to adjust interest rates based on evolving economic conditions. The uncertainty stemming from Trump's tariff policies could hinder the disinflation desired by policymakers, complicating efforts to stabilize the economy. Public sentiment towards the economy is sharply divided along partisan lines. According to a Pew Research Center survey, a notable majority of Republicans foresee improvement in economic conditions over the next year, while Democrats express fears of decline. This dichotomy highlights the varying perceptions of economic health and the political implications of Trump's policies. As inflation continues to rise and economic uncertainty looms, analysts are warning that the risks of a broader economic slowdown are increasing. Neil Dutta, head of economic research at Renaissance Macro, pointed out that consumers are depleting their savings and that public sector spending is likely to slow, further constraining economic growth. Downside risks to the economy are stirring, he cautions, signaling that the current trajectory may not be sustainable. Looking ahead, the impact of Trump's economic policies on the U.S. economy remains uncertain. With economic indicators pointing to rising inflation and increased scrutiny of trade practices, the administration's next steps will be crucial. The interplay between tariffs, interest rates, and public sentiment will shape the economic landscape in the months to come, as both investors and consumers brace for potential volatility. As the nation watches closely, the unfolding saga of Trump's economic agenda could very well determine the future health of the U.S. economy. In a striking blend of politics and technology, recent developments within the Trump administration highlight a significant shift in federal workforce management and national security strategies. President Donald Trump, accompanied by tech mogul Elon Musk, recently signed an executive order aimed at drastically reducing the federal workforce while simultaneously enacting a hiring freeze across multiple agencies. This initiative, positioned under the banner of the newly established Department of Government Efficiency (DOGE), has sparked considerable debate and concern among lawmakers and defense experts alike. The executive order mandates federal agencies to devise plans for widespread layoffs with specific exemptions for military personnel and essential national security roles. According to the administration's fact sheet, the new hiring constraints allow agencies to only replace one employee for every 4 who leave, a move that is poised to create significant attrition and operational challenges within government departments. This ratio shall not apply to functions related to public safety, immigration enforcement, or law enforcement, the order specifies, which could lead to further complications in maintaining essential government services. Musk, who has been vocal about his belief in reforming the federal bureaucracy, was quoted saying, "You can't have an autonomous federal bureaucracy." He underscored the need for efficiency while acknowledging the presence of good people within government ranks. His involvement has raised eyebrows as critics argue that his approach could amount to a constitutional crisis, considering the breadth of his influence and the rapid changes being implemented across various agencies. In conjunction with these workforce reductions, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth recently discussed the administration's overarching goals for DOGE during a trip to Germany. Hegseth emphasized the need to eliminate bureaucratic waste while assuring that any changes would not compromise American military capabilities. "There's plenty of places where we want the keen eye of DOGE, but we'll do it in coordination," he stated, aiming to balance modernization efforts with operational readiness. This agenda aligns with Trump's broader national defense strategy, which includes addressing perceived threats from China and ensuring that the U.S. military is equipped to respond effectively. Hegseth articulated the administration's stance on China's ambitions, noting their view of the world is quite different than ours and underscoring the necessity for a strong U.S. posture both domestically and abroad. As this ambitious restructuring unfolds, there are significant implications for federal employees and the functioning of critical government services. Agencies are being instructed to prioritize layoffs in non-essential areas, particularly targeting those involved in diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. This focus raises questions about the future of these programs, which many view as vital for fostering an inclusive workplace. In the backdrop of these developments, Senator Roger Wicker recently met with Trump to discuss urgent national security priorities, emphasizing the need to rebuild the military in response to global challenges. Wicker's remarks reflect a broader consensus among some lawmakers that the military must be prepared for both traditional and emerging threats. As the Trump administration continues to implement its controversial reforms through DOGE, the balance between efficiency, operational capability, and ethical governance remains precarious. With Musk at the helm of these initiatives, the intersection of technology and bureaucracy will likely shape the future of federal operations in unprecedented ways. Moving forward, the impacts of these changes on workforce morale, agency effectiveness, and national security will be closely scrutinized as stakeholders grapple with the ramifications of a rapidly evolving government landscape. In an unexpected turn of political dynamics, California Governor Gavin Newsom has adopted a pragmatic approach toward President Donald Trump, seeking cooperation in the wake of recent wildfire devastation in the state. Once a vocal critic of Trump, Newsom now finds himself navigating a complex political landscape that requires him to set aside personal grievances for the sake of his constituents. Newsom's shift can be traced back to the beginning of Trump's presidency, when the governor positioned himself as a leader of the resistance against the administration's controversial policies. However, the dire need for federal disaster relief following severe wildfires in California has prompted him to reassess his stance. This past week, Newsom signed legislation allocating $50 million to fund legal battles against Trump's administration and to support immigrant legal services, but he did so quietly, avoiding the media spotlight. This calculated reticence speaks volumes about the governor's attempts to maintain a working relationship with the president. Their recent encounter at Los Angeles International Airport, where Newsom greeted Trump as he surveyed wildfire damage, was marked by an unexpectedly cordial atmosphere. Trump, acknowledging the governor's presence without invitation, stated, "I appreciate the governor coming out and meeting me," to which Newsom replied, "Thank you for being here. It means a great deal." Such exchanges, rich in cordiality, underscore a growing necessity for collaboration. Despite the backdrop of Trump's often divisive rhetoric, the implications of this newfound détente extend beyond mere political niceties. Newsom's willingness to engage with Trump could be seen as a strategic maneuver aimed at securing vital aid for the tens of thousands affected by the wildfires. However, this cooperation comes with its own set of challenges, particularly in light of Trump's insistence on attaching political conditions to disaster relief, such as demands for changes to California's election system and increased water provisions for agricultural interests in the state. While some political analysts argue that Newsom's approach could be construed as capitulation, others contend that it is a necessary adaptation to the realities of governance in a polarized political environment. The governor's actions reflect a broader trend in California politics, where pragmatism increasingly trumps partisanship, especially when the stakes are as high as disaster recovery. Looking ahead, the sustainability of this political alliance remains uncertain. A potential large-scale immigration enforcement operation planned for the Los Angeles area could serve as a significant test for the fragile partnership between Newsom and Trump. As the governor positions himself for possible future presidential aspirations, his current strategy may draw scrutiny and criticism from within his own party, where a litmus test of anti-Trump sentiment is likely to emerge. In this intricate dance of diplomacy, Newsom appears to be prioritizing the immediate needs of Californians over long-term political ambitions, as he seeks to balance the demands of his constituents with the necessity of engaging with a controversial president. The outcome of this political gambit will shape not only the future of California's disaster relief efforts but also the trajectory of Newsom's political career. As the political landscape continues to evolve, it will be crucial to observe how these dynamics play out in upcoming months, particularly as the next presidential election cycle approaches. In an era defined by division, Newsom's strategy may well serve as a blueprint for future leaders navigating the murky waters of bipartisan governance amid national crises.